Within just 1 month, the balance on the battlefield has shifted. Fast, measurable, and impossible to ignore. Ukraine has delivered one crushing victory after another against the Russian invaders, turning the battlefield into a high-loss zones across multiple sectors. Massive territorial gains are exploding across key sectors as Ukrainian warriors seize back what is rightfully theirs and obliterate Russian troops like the pathetic cannon fodder they have become. None of this is random luck. Ukraine has forged itself into a lethal fighting machine, blending razor-sharp innovation with battlefield brilliance that is stopping Russia dead in its tracks and liberating ground Putin thought he owned forever. This is no longer a slow war of attrition. This is a system collapse unfolding in real time. This is the raw, unfiltered truth coming straight from the front lines, and I need your take right now because the momentum is shifting hard. Drop your thoughts in the comments the second you hear this. Do you believe Ukraine's active defense and drone dominance are finally breaking Putin's back? Or are we watching the opening chapter of a total Russian collapse that could end this war in months? Your voice matters in this fight. Let me hear it loud while we tear through the latest hot intelligence. Because every square kilometer Ukraine reclaims today could decide the fate of the entire front tomorrow. Commander-in-Chief of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Oleksandr Syrsky, dropped the bombshell himself in his April 15th Facebook update, and it hit like a precision strike. With Russia pouring everything into a desperate spring offensive, Syrsky laid out exactly how Ukraine is seizing the strategic initiative through relentless active defense. Thanks to this calculated fury, Ukrainian forces regained control of nearly 50 square kilometers of occupied territory in March alone. Those gains came from a string of lightning counteroffensives that caught the Russians completely flat-footed, focusing on sectors where Putin's infiltration tactics left his lines paper-thin and vulnerable. Putin's grand plan has detonated in his face. He believed he could drown Ukraine in sheer manpower by flooding gray zones with wave after wave of disposable soldiers. He was dead wrong. Ukraine has roared back with devastating force, making massive advances even while Russia ramps up the pressure across the entire theater. The numbers paint a picture of pure humiliation for Moscow. These latest 50 square kilometers of liberated land follow an even bigger surge earlier in the year. After launching fierce southern counteroffensives, Ukraine had already clawed back roughly 300 square kilometers by mid-February. By the close of March, Syrsky confirmed the total had surged to 480 square kilometers ripped straight from Russian hands. This is not some scattered skirmish. It is focused surgical warfare hitting the exact weak points in Putin's overstretched defenses. This is not about territory anymore. This is about sustainability. And here is where the real slaughter begins. In that same month, Russia suffered a staggering 35,351 confirmed killed or wounded, the highest monthly toll of the entire war, according to Al Jazeera reporting. Ukrainian forces say their skyrocketing drone production turned the tide, but the truth runs deeper. However, this drone dominance isn't unchallenged. Russia has deployed its most advanced electronic warfare EW suites to jam GPS and control signals, but Ukraine has adapted with intelligence on the edge. By utilizing AI-driven terminal guidance, Ukrainian UAVs now operate autonomously in signal-dead zones. They no longer rely on a pilot's link. They hunt based on visual recognition. This leap in autonomous warfare is why Russia's EW umbrellas are failing, turning their once protected columns into sitting ducks for Ukraine's steel bees. And this is where everything starts to break down. But here's the real problem. Russia can't fix. Putin's nightmare grows darker by the day. because Russia's recruitment machine is collapsing under the weight of these losses. Moscow claims it will drag 409,000 fresh troops into uniform by year's end. Yet the daily average sits at a pathetic 1,120. That gap will leave Russia short 65,000 soldiers by the end of 2026, meaning fewer replacements reaching the meat grinder. With fewer bodies to plug the holes, Ukraine's counterattacks find even softer targets. The spring offensive that was supposed to shatter the Donbas and hand Putin vast new territory has instead become a catastrophic failure. The strategic math for the Kremlin is becoming unsustainable. While Moscow's propaganda claims momentum, the telemetry shows a different reality. Russia's rate of advance has plummeted from 12.9 square kilometers per day in 2025 to a marginal 2.58 square kilometers today. That is a 500% efficiency loss in just 12 months. At this current attrition rate, Russia is burning through its armored reserves 5 times faster than it can seize tactically significant ground. The spring offensive isn't just slowing down, it is mathematically bankrupt. To understand the scale, look at the Donetsk fortress belt. Russia's desperate spring offensive is slamming against a wall from Lyman in the north down to the Pokrovsk gateway. In the Pokrovsk sector, what Putin intended as a breakthrough has turned into a tactical cul-de-sac. Ukrainian forces aren't just holding, they are using the high ground of Kostiantinivka as a kinetic anvil crushing Russian armor before it even reaches the gray zones. This isn't a series of random skirmishes, it is a coordinated tightening of the noose across the entire eastern theater. FPV operators locked onto Russian columns from kilometers away, turning armored vehicles into fireballs before they could even crest the ridgelines. In the Pokrovsk direction, Ukrainian mechanized units supported by precision drone strikes slammed into Russian positions that had been thinly held by infiltrated squads. Tanks rolled forward under drone cover, shredding enemy strongpoints while artillery and loitering munitions finished the job. Russian troops tried to dig in, but Ukrainian ground drones crawled through the trenches delivering explosives at point-blank range. The result was chaos. Entire Russian platoons wiped out in minutes, bodies littering the fields, as Ukrainian forces reclaimed high ground that gives them commanding views over supply routes. Over in Oleksandrivka and the Dnipropetrovsk sector, the story repeated with even more fury. Russia attempted to carve out a buffer zone, but Ukrainian defenders held firm, then unleashed coordinated strikes that shredded their forward positions. Tanks from Ukrainian assault brigades punched through weakened lines, while overhead long-range drones hammered ammunition depots and command posts deep behind the lines. The battlefield echoed with the constant buzz of Ukrainian UAVs turning night into day for the hunters and pure terror for the Russians. And the drone war above the front lines has flipped the script completely. In March, Ukraine launched 7,347 long-range drones against Russia, compared to Russia's 6,462. For the first time in the entire conflict, Ukraine out-drone striked the enemy while achieving a near 90% interception rate against incoming Shaheds using cheap interceptor drones that cost pennies on the dollar inside Russia alone. Ukrainian strikes hit 76 targets, including 15 critical oil refining facilities, starving the Russian war machine of fuel and profit. This deep strike campaign is not random. It is systematic destruction of logistics that keeps Russian troops hungry, undersupplied, and demoralized on the front. Now pause with me, because we are at the heart of the shift, and I want your honest read on this. With Ukraine reclaiming territory at nearly twice Russia's rate and inflicting record casualties through drone and tank coordination, do you think Putin's spring offensive is already doomed? Or will he double down and send even more young Russians to die in the mud? Tell me exactly what you see coming next, because the world is watching these battlefields. and your analysis helps drive the conversation while the shells are still flying. Ukraine's success runs far deeper than drones alone, though those steel bees remain the stars of the show. Syrskyi's active defense is the masterstroke, forcing Russia to fight on Ukrainian terms. He explained it clearly. Ukraine counters Russian numbers with superior quality of combat operations, making the enemy dance to their tune, and constantly delaying Moscow's deadlines. Defense Minister Mikhailo Fedorov set the tone back in January, vowing to push Russian irrecoverable losses toward 50,000 per month through systemic reforms. That vision is now reality on the ground. Ukraine refuses to stretch thin across the 1,200-kilometer front. Instead, it picks precise sectors where Russia has overextended and hammers them hard while holding ironclad defenses in the zones Putin truly craves. This sector-by-sector brilliance learned from the hard lessons of 2023 avoids spreading forces too wide and instead exploits Russian weaknesses. In Kupiansk, Ukrainian defenders shattered a major Russian push last December, destroying Putin's propaganda claims and setting the template for 2026. The same playbook is crushing Russian hopes in Zaporizhia, where Ukrainian tanks and drones prevent any buffer zone creation protecting Donetsk. Real-time intelligence from Ukraine's Delta battlefield management system feeds every decision. Commanders see drone feeds, command posts, and troop movements in seconds, allowing lightning adjustments that leave Russian planners reeling. The shift to a corps-based structure has sharpened coordination across units, while mid-range drones now strike deeper into occupied Donetsk, hitting ammunition dumps, Shahid storage, and command nodes. Ukrainian forces have already destroyed 492 Russian air defense systems between June 2025 and March 2026, clearing safe corridors for these strikes. Underground tunnel networks snake through kill zones, letting Ukrainian troops and supplies move unseen, ambushing infiltrators, and resupplying forward positions in ways Russia never anticipated. Research and development now embeds directly with frontline units, creating fresh tactics monthly, while air defense training pipelines produce sharper operators every rotation. Ukraine never stops evolving. Putin clings to the same attritional meat grinder tactics that worked in 2022, but now look obsolete against a modern Ukrainian military that learns, adapts, and strikes back harder each week. At this point, the outcome may already be decided, but not in the way you think. The line is breaking. The math is failing. Putin expected a victory march. He got a logistical graveyard. Ukraine picking the sectors. Ukraine dictates the tempo. Every drone strike isn't just a kill, it's a tactical shift. 480 square kilometers, 1 month. The tide hasn't just turned, it's rising. This fight is moving at breakneck speed, and new developments drop hourly. If you want every update the moment it breaks, smash subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the frontline truth. Leave your strongest prediction in the comments about what happens next in Donetsk or Zaporizhia. Share this video with anyone who follows the war, because the world needs to see Ukraine's incredible stand. Until the next dispatch, stay locked on the fight. This is the moment Ukraine turns the tide for good, and every Ukrainian victory brings the end of Putin's nightmare, one liberated kilometer closer. The Russian spring offensive lies in ruins, and the Ukrainian counteroffensive is only gaining speed. We will see you in the next update from the front. Disclaimer: Dieses Video enthält Inhalte, die ganz oder teilweise durch künstliche Intelligenz erstellt oder unterstützt wurden. Das Material dient ausschließlich der Simulation, Illustration und Unterhaltung. Es stellt keine realen Ereignisse, keine politischen oder militärischen Ratschläge und keine verifizierten Informationen dar. einzelne Elemente können fiktional dramatisiert oder ungenau sein. Zuschauer sollten dieses Video nicht als zuverlässige Informationsquelle oder Grundlage für reale Entscheidungen verwenden.